Snow came down sideways the morning Harper Quinn drove to Evergreen Charter Academy, thick as a bad broadcast signal. The GPS on her cracked iPhone kept rerouting her down narrower and narrower roads until even the plow lines disappeared and the pines closed in like a slow-motion avalanche. She hadn't seen another car in 20 minutes. Her gas gauge blinked the same dull orange as her hangover eyes. She told herself this was fine, that she'd been in worse situations, stakeouts outside halfway houses, press vans in Honduras, nights in the drunk tank. But the truth was uglier. This was the bottom. A substitute gig in the sticks, paid cash, no questions asked. That's how you knew you'd fallen out of the newsroom long enough to start smelling like paper rot. The school appeared out of the white like something surfacing from memory, all gables and dark stone, its windows iced opaque. The sign out front leaned sideways, half buried, Evergreen Charter Academy, founded 1892. A string of Christmas lights from last year sagged across the gate, blinking in no discernible rhythm. Harper parked beside a yellowed van with faculty stenciled on the side and climbed out, boots crunching through salt and old snow. The wind had teeth. Her breath hung in front of her face like smoke. For a moment she just stared at the building, ivor-choked, sagging at the gutters, and yet alive somehow, as if the frost was its skin. When she stepped inside, warmth hit her in a single, musty breath, radiators clanking, air tasting faintly metallic. The foyer smelled of lemon cleaner and something underneath it, like pennies soaked in milk. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. A crucifix leaned crooked above a display case of old trophies. The secretary's desk was empty, but a coffee cup steamed beside a half-finished crossword. Harper cleared her throat. "Hello?" A door clicked open down the hall, and a woman emerged, tall, thin, wearing a black turtleneck and a smile that looked stapled on. "You must be Ms. Quinn," she said. "I'm Dr. Morrow, principal here. You're early." Harper forced a grin. Snow didn't exactly invite dawdling. Morrow's eyes were too still. Yes, the storms do tend to keep things contained. She handed Harper a manila folder. Across the front, confidential, substitute only. There are 9 rules inside. Follow them exactly. The last substitute didn't. Harper gave a dry laugh, waiting for a smirk that never came. "I'm serious," Morrow said. "Room 13B down the freight elevator, basement level. Your class roster's inside. Bells are irregular today, so rely on the clock." Before Harper could ask anything else, the principal was already gliding away, heels tapping in perfect metronome beats that echoed down the hall until they simply stopped. The elevator groaned when she pressed the call button. A rusted gate slid open to reveal a cage big enough for a coffin. Inside, the floor was damp and smelled faintly of bleach. "Of no students beyond this point," sign dangled by one nail. She pressed B. The doors clanged shut. The descent was slow, like falling in syrup. Halfway down, the light flickered and went out. She could hear the cable whining above her, straining. In the dark, her reflection flashed once in the phone screen, not her own face, but something standing a step behind her, pale as frost. Then the light returned, and she was alone again. The basement hall looked more like a service tunnel than a school wing, the pipes sweating, walls painted a tired green that peeled in strips. She followed the signs until she reached a door marked 13B. When she touched the handle, it was cold enough to bite. The classroom was bigger than she expected, but wrong in its proportions, ceiling too low, windows too small, light too grey. Desks were arranged in perfect isolation, one at each corner, one dead center, and others staggered so that no two touched. She counted seats, 13, of course. On the teacher's desk sat an analog clock, a roll sheet, and a laminated schedule that ended at 3:15 p.m. She placed her bag down, exhaled, and opened the manila folder. The rules were typed on yellowed paper, edges curled, faint coffee ring in one corner. 9 lines, numbered. She read them twice. By line 3, she felt stupid for feeling uneasy. By line 6, she was sweating under her coat. She read the last one again. Never look back into 13B once you've left. Not even through the elevator grate. She shook her head, muttering, "Okay, cute hazing ritual." Still, she folded the sheet and slipped it into her back pocket instead of throwing it away. The bell, or something pretending to be one, rang at 8 o'clock. It sounded warped, like a recording played underwater. The students arrived in silence. 13 of them. Each uniform perfectly pressed, faces pale as candles. No one spoke, not even to greet. They sat without instruction, each leaving exactly 2 seats between themselves and the next. The precision unnerved her. "Good morning," Harper tried. "I'm Ms. Quinn." "I'll be." A hand rose. Thin fingers, too slow. The girl had long braids that looked wet. "You don't need to introduce yourself," she said. "We already know who you are." Harper blinked. "Oh? And who's that?" The girl smiled, small, clinical. "The next one." A few of the students laughed under their breath, but it wasn't the right kind of laughter. It was synchronized, like a track cue. Harper swallowed and clapped her hands. "Okay. Attendance." Names matched the roster: Lila Vale, Ezra Gunn, Nora Chan, Dylan Pierce. Each voice sounded filtered, slightly delayed. When she marked the last name, a drop hit the desk, thick, dark red. She looked up. A wet stain spread across the ceiling tile above her, dripping slow and steady. "Maintenance issue," she said aloud, mostly for herself. She wiped it with a tissue. It hissed faintly and left a red welt across her palm. She stared at it. Rule 3, ignore any dripping from the ceiling tiles. "It's not water." She forced her eyes back to the papers. "Okay, class. Creative writing today. Free topic." Minutes stretched. The only sounds were pencils scratching and the low hum of the fluorescent lights. The clock's second hand jerked unevenly. Harper's phone vibrated once, no service. She walked between rows. Each child's handwriting was uniform, same slant, same spacing, as if one hand moved them all. Lila's page read only a single line, repeated over and over. "Don't look at the clock at 2:11. Harper felt her throat tighten. "You all have quite the imagination." Ezra, the boy nearest the wall, raised his hand. His eyes were colorless, almost clear. "Ms. Quinn." He held out a small paper crane, folded from a cafeteria napkin. "For you." She smiled politely but didn't take it. "That's sweet, Ezra, but—" "Please," he insisted. "It's tradition." She hesitated, then remembered Rule 5, decline all gifts. "I'm good, thanks." He set it on her desk anyway. The crane's wings trembled slightly, though there was no draft. Harper unfolded it. Inside was a single hair, short, brown, frayed at the end. Her hair. She'd cut it that morning. Her stomach flipped. She looked up, but Ezra was already staring at the supply closet across the room, back rigid, hands at his sides. The rest of the class kept writing, unfazed. By lunch, Harper's nerves were threadbare. The cafeteria was upstairs, but she stayed in the room, eating stale crackers from her bag. Every time she glanced at the walls, the paint seemed wetter, darker. A faint hum came from the clock, a sound like breathing through water. She checked the time, 1:57 p.m. She remembered Rule 4. Between 2:11 and 2:13, do not look at the clock. She told herself she wouldn't. Easy. Just grade papers. Keep busy. At 2:10, the room's temperature dropped. Her breath misted. The hum stopped. Then, silence so complete it roared in her ears. The second hand froze. Something began tapping from inside the walls, slow, arrhythmic, like a heartbeat learning to mimic hers. A whisper, "Look." Her eyes twitched toward the clock. She squeezed them shut. The whisper came again, closer now, inside her ear, "They're watching to see if you do." She opened her eyes. The students were all facing her now, perfectly still, every one of them grinning the same impossible grin. The clock ticked once. The clock's second hand twitched again, once, then everything snapped back into motion. Students dropped their heads as if nothing had happened. Pencils resumed scratching. Air rushed back into the room with a hiss through the radiator vents. Harper's heart hammered so hard it hurt. She glanced down at her notebook. The line she'd been writing, Creative Prompts due Friday, had stretched halfway down the page, the same words repeating themselves in smaller and smaller letters, like someone had kept her hand moving while she blacked out. She slammed the notebook shut. Okay, her voice cracked. Break time. No one moved. She walked to the window. Outside, the snow had stopped, but the courtyard below was empty, not a single footprint except her own leading in from the elevator. The trees beyond the fence leaned inward, branches black against the white. When she turned back, all 13 students were facing the supply closet. Is there something in there? Harper asked. Silence. Ezra stood closest to the door, shoulders trembling. His head was tilted slightly, as if listening through the metal slats. Ezra? Drip. A red drop landed on the back of his collar. He didn't react. The others still faced forward, motionless. Rule 7 crawled up from her memory. If a student stands facing the supply closet, do not speak. They leave when ready. Harper took one step forward anyway. Hey, buddy, you okay? Ezra's hands twitched once, then fell to his sides. He turned slowly, not by steps, but in a single glide, like a marionette pulled by invisible strings. His eyes were static white. His mouth moved, but the voice that came out wasn't his. You weren't supposed to talk. The lights flickered. When they steadied again, Ezra was sitting at his desk, writing. Everyone else was, too. Harper's knees nearly gave out. She stumbled back to her chair, clutching the desk edge until the room stopped spinning. At 3:10 p.m., the bell rang, shrill and distorted. The kids packed up without waiting for dismissal. Chairs scraped in perfect unison. Lila paused by Harper's desk. You did better than the last one, she said softly. He looked at the clock. Harper tried to find words, but her throat was dry. What happened to him? Lila's expression was pity, or something that only pretended to be. We cleaned it up. She slipped an origami crane onto the desk. This one was made from legal pad paper, yellow and faintly damp. Inside, a drop of something dark pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Before Harper could react, the kids were gone. She stayed seated, listening to the hum of the lights and the faint drip-drip above her. The intercom crackled to life. Ms. Quinn, please report to the office. Immediately. Her body went cold. Rule 6, after the 3:15 bell, do not open the door for anyone. The intercom lies. She checked her watch, 3:16. A knock came. 3 polite taps. Then again, harder. Ms. Quinn. The voice was calm, female. Dr. Morrow. We need your attendance sheet. Harper's eyes darted to the door. The knob trembled. The lock she hadn't noticed before, 3 deadbolts, clicked one by one, sliding open by themselves. Morrow? Harper whispered. I can bring it up tomorrow. The voice changed, stretching. You'll bring it now. A pale hand slid through the crack, long fingers tipped with ink-black nails. Harper lunged for the desk, slammed her shoulder into the door, and threw the latch. The hand withdrew, leaving a smear of something oily on the wood. Silence. Then, softly, laughter, childlike, dozens of them, fading down the hall. She gathered her things with shaking hands. The elevator button flickered weakly when she pressed it. The cage descended with a sigh, doors screeching open. She stepped inside, clutching the manila folder like a talisman. The ascent was slower than before. At the halfway mark, the lights died again. Something shifted above, metal groaning. A shape crawled along the outside of the grate, dragging nails across the mesh. "Not real," she whispered. "Not real." A whisper through the dark. "Then why do you hear me breathing?" Her scream froze halfway out of her throat as the light returned. The grate was empty. When the elevator stopped, she burst out onto the main floor. The hallway was empty. Snowlight slanted through the high windows, tinged faintly red. The front office was dark except for the glow of the fish tank in the corner. The secretary's coffee cup was gone, replaced by a new one, half full, still steaming. Beside it sat another yellow folder labeled Payroll, Harper Quinn. Inside, an envelope of cash and a single sticky note. "Day 1, good work. See you tomorrow." Her stomach turned. She grabbed the envelope and hurried outside. The snow had stopped completely. Her car was the only one left in the lot. She climbed in, locked the doors, and just sat there, hands trembling on the wheel. When she started the engine, the radio flickered on by itself. A faint voice whispered through static, her own, distorted, Rule 9. Never look back. Her breath fogged the windshield. Against the glass, she saw her reflection, and behind it, the faint outline of room 13B, ceiling dripping, desks empty, a figure standing at the front. For a heartbeat she almost turned, almost looked through the rear window toward the basement wing. But she didn't. She put the car in gear and drove until Evergreen was a bruise on the horizon. Still, somewhere behind her, she could swear she heard the faint creak of an elevator rising again. Harper told herself she wasn't going back. Not after what happened in that room. But money doesn't care about fear. By dawn, the snow had frozen into a crust over the highway. Her gas light blinked again before she even reached the town limits. The cash from the envelope sat on the passenger seat, mocking her, 7 crisp hundreds, like blood money washed clean. She tried to text the temp agency during the night, but every message bounced back undelivered. Their website had vanished. Even the listing for Evergreen Charter was gone from Google. At 6:40 a.m., the school reappeared through the fog exactly where it shouldn't have been, miles earlier than she remembered, perched behind the same leaning gate. The Christmas lights still blinked. When she parked, Dr. Morrow was already waiting by the entrance, dressed in the same black turtleneck. No coat. No footprints in the snow around her. "You came back," Morrow said, smiling like a priest at confession. "That's good. Routine is important." Harper tightened her scarf. Do you ever talk about what happened to Mr. Delgado?" Morrow's expression didn't change. "Mr. Delgado broke protocol. I trust you won't." Before Harper could reply, the principal handed her another manila folder. "Confidential, substitute only" was stamped again across the front, but the paper felt newer, the ink still tacky. "There's an updated rule," Morrow said. "Between 2:11 and 2:13, you already know not to look at the clock. But now, don't listen either." Morrow turned away before Harper could ask what that meant. The elevator groaned her back into the dark again. This time she noticed a new scratch carved into the inside of the cage, D. Delgado, 11 days. The number 12 was half-etched below it, unfinished. Her reflection in the brass door seemed to lag, her mouth a beat behind her thoughts. When the doors opened, 13B looked exactly as before, except the desks had rearranged themselves. The center desk was gone. The rest had shifted closer, forming a ring around the teacher's chair. A faint smell of ozone hung in the air, like after a thunderstorm. The students filed in silently at 8 o'clock sharp. Their uniforms were immaculate again. Ezra's collar was spotless. Lila's braids were dry. "Good morning," Harper said, voice thinner than she wanted. Lila tilted her head. "You remembered us." "Of course Most don't." The words came flat, like recited lines. Harper forced herself to take roll, but the names echoed strangely in the room, bouncing off the walls half a beat late. When she finished, she asked, "Where's your regular teacher now?" "The one before Delgado." Lila looked up from her desk. "We don't talk about her." Why? She's still listening. Harper's stomach knotted. By mid-morning, she found herself scanning the corners, the ceiling, the door. Everything looked normal, until she saw the supply closet again. The knob twitched. Just once. No one else reacted. She pressed on with the lesson, reading comprehension, using an old workbook left behind. The story on the page was one she didn't recognize, The Substitute and the 13th Bell. It described a teacher in a snowbound school who couldn't tell which of her students were alive. The author credit at the bottom read H. Quinn. Her hand trembled. Okay, who's responsible for this joke? No answer. Lila blinked slowly. You wrote it, Miss Quinn. You always do. Something cold crawled down Harper's spine. She slammed the book shut. At lunch, she searched the teacher's desk drawers. Behind a stack of worksheets, she found a phone, old model, cracked screen. When she powered it on, a faint glow lit the darkness. Delgado was engraved on the backplate with a label maker. The phone had one video. She pressed play. The footage showed the classroom. Same desks, same flickering lights. Delgado sat where she was now, speaking softly to the camera. Day 11, he whispered. If anyone finds this, don't stay past the bell. Don't answer them. They sound like children, but they aren't. The building. The feed jolted. A blur passed behind him. Delgado turned. His neck twisted further than humanly possible. For a moment he grinned directly at the lens, eyes black voids, smile split to his ears. Then static. The video froze on that image. Harper dropped the phone. It hit the floor and buzzed once, an incoming message, see you at 3:15. Her vision swam. She shoved the phone back into the drawer and gripped the desk until her knuckles whitened. The radiator hissed louder, releasing steam that smelled faintly like singed hair. A whisper slithered through the vent, you're doing better than he did. She looked up. Ezra was watching her. You hear it too? She asked. He nodded. It likes when you follow the rules. What happens if I don't? Lila answered before he could. It makes room. The rest of the day blurred. The hum of the clock became a pulse. At 2:10, her chest tightened again. She braced herself, covering her ears, but the silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of voices, hundreds whispering beneath the floor. She could make out words this time, her own. Follow the rules. Don't look back. Never left. Then, faintly, help us. The sound built until the glass in the clock cracked down the middle. The students didn't move. Then, as if on cue, every head turned toward the supply closet. The knob turned. Once. Twice. A narrow sliver of darkness opened. Harper wanted to run, to claw her way out of this basement, but her legs rooted to the tile. A hand emerged, grey, thin, the fingers webbed with black thread. It clutched a folded paper crane and dropped it to the floor. The hand withdrew. The door closed. Ezra rose, walked over, and picked it up. He unfolded it carefully and read aloud, voice hollow, welcome back, Harper. We missed you. At 3:15, the bell shrieked again. The students stood. Dismissed, Harper whispered. They filed out, calm as ever. When she finally reached the elevator, she noticed something etched into the floor just inside the gate, a new line beneath Delgado's. H. Quinn, 2 days. The number 3 was already half-carved. She didn't remember driving home. Just the dark, the snow, and the faint static whisper that followed her into sleep. That night, she dreamed of desks underwater, children's voices bubbling through the current. When she woke, her phone was on the pillow beside her, screen glowing faintly. Alarm set, 6:30 a.m., Evergreen. She hadn't set it. And in the background of her lock screen photo, one she'd taken years ago in Manhattan, she could see it now, faint, translucent, behind her reflection. The classroom door marked 13B. The next morning she woke up with dirt under her nails and frost clinging to her coat sleeves. Her boots were soaked. She didn't remember going outside. The clock on her nightstand blinked 5:59 a.m. Beneath it, a folded paper crane sat neatly on the wood. She hadn't owned any paper like that, yellowed legal stock, the kind Evergreen used. A single phrase was written across the wing in cramped cursive, lesson plans due. Her breath caught. She threw it into the trash, but the sound it made wasn't paper hitting metal, it was wet, like something landing in water. When she looked, the crane was gone. By the time she reached Evergreen, the storm had thickened again. The parking lot was empty. No lights in the windows. Still, the front doors unlocked at her touch. Inside, the building hummed, not electricity, but something slower, deeper, like a giant heart under the floor. Dr. Morrow wasn't waiting this time. Harper walked the hall toward the elevator, heels echoing. On the bulletin board hung new student portraits, 13 faces. But she froze when she saw the last one, bottom right, her own, eyes too wide, smile split a fraction too far. She tore it down and crumpled it. Behind it, written on the cork in black marker, Room 13B feeds. The air turned colder. She heard the elevator bell ding by itself. The cage light flickered as she stepped in. The scratches on the wall had multiplied, Delgado's name, her own, others carved deep but illegible. Someone had drawn tally marks beside hers, two vertical, one half-etched diagonal like a counting ritual paused mid-stroke. When the doors opened, she almost turned back. The hall smelled of iron and mold, the kind of rot that clings to wet basements and old lungs. The classroom door was already ajar. She pushed it open. The desks were gone. All of them. The room was nearly empty except for her chair, the clock, and a single stack of papers on the floor. On top, attendance sheet, Harper Quinn. Every name was already checked off. Even her own. She picked up the list, and something moved beneath it, a shadow that shouldn't have been there. Miss Quinn, a voice said behind her. She spun. A man stood in the doorway, late 30s, unshaven, wearing a wrinkled faculty badge, Delgado. He looked exactly like the photo from his phone, except for one thing. His head was turned too far to the left, neck bent at a wrong angle, but he smiled like it didn't hurt. "You shouldn't still be here," he said, voice thin and filtered, like coming through an old speaker. Harper backed away. "You dead?" "Not exactly." He stepped closer. "They don't kill us. They convert us. Each rule keeps the room stable. Break one, and you become part of the structure." She shook her head. The structure. The building. The thing underneath it. They call it the farm. The lights dimmed as he spoke. The walls rippled, as though breathing. Delgado pointed toward the ceiling. "The children aren't children. They are placeholders. Vessels. The school needs minds to keep its memory intact. Substitutes are fresh meat. We feed it with our attention." His grin faltered. "How many rules have you broken?" "None," she lied. He glanced at the wall clock. "Then don't look at it again. It's watching you now." A sound cut through the room, the bell, 2:11 p.m. The second hand froze. Delgado's voice dropped to a whisper. "Cover your ears." She did. The silence swelled until it felt physical. Then came the whispering, children chanting backwards, words folding in on themselves. Something crawled down the wall, leaving wet handprints that steamed. Delgado clutched his head. Too late. It heard you think. The clock's glass bulged outward like an eye. Delgado screamed once, sharp and short, before vanishing in a burst of static and wet dust that sprayed across her face. When the sound stopped, only his badge remained, half melted on the floor. Harper wiped her face and stumbled toward the elevator, gagging on the metallic taste in the air. Halfway up, the cage shuddered to a stop. Lights died. Through the grate she could see into the shaft, stone walls slick with something dark, pulsing faintly. Embedded shapes shifted inside the muck, faces, maybe. Hands pressed outward, thin and grey, dragging nails along the metal. She slammed the emergency button. A child's voice came through the speaker instead of static. "Leaving early, Ms. Quinn? That's not allowed." The elevator lurched upward on its own. When the doors opened, she stumbled into the main hallway, coughing. The building above ground looked different, longer, darker, as if stretched. Portraits on the walls watched her move. At the end of the corridor, Dr. Morrow waited. "You've seen too much," Morrow said softly. "But that was inevitable." "What is this place?" Harper shouted. "Continuity. We maintain the cycle." The donors built Evergreen over the old sanatorium because the ground was already rich. Souls soak into it easily. Morrow stepped closer. Her shadow reached farther than it should have, sliding across the floor to Harper's shoes. Every sub brings fresh thought. Imagination is fuel. "I quit," Harper hissed. Morrow smiled. "You already did." She ran. The doors at the main exit were gone, replaced by another hallway, the same hallway repeating endlessly, each turn leading back to itself. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number, 13B calling. She hurled it against the wall. The screen didn't crack, it bled, dark liquid pooling on the tile. Footsteps echoed behind her, 13 pairs, small and even. The students. Lila's voice rose from the chorus. "We told you not to look. Now we have to show you why." They emerged from the darkness, pale faces glowing faintly, eyes hollow. Each carried a folded crane. Each crane pulsed like a heartbeat. Harper backed into the nearest door and burst through, the supply closet. Inside, it wasn't shelves and mops. It was a staircase descending into black water. The sound followed her, the dripping, the heartbeat, the whispered count of seconds. She descended 3 steps before the door slammed shut above. Total dark. The air tasted of copper. At the bottom, faint light, a chamber, circular, its walls made of stone and bone interwoven. In the center stood desks stacked into a pyramid, each holding the remains of old lesson plans. A single object lay atop them, a record player, spinning. The voice that came from it was her own. "Welcome to day 3, Ms. Quinn. Attendance mandatory." She screamed and kicked the pile over. Papers scattered, fluttering like birds. One landed against her chest. She recognized the typeface immediately, her own byline from years ago, from the story that had destroyed her journalism career. The headline read, "School Corruption Scandal, Whistleblower Leak Suppressed." Beneath it, stamped in red ink, retracted. "Property of Evergreen." The ink dripped. The paper dissolved in her hands. Above, the bell rang again, 3:15 p.m. The water around her began to rise, whispering with voices. "Stay," they said. "Your staff now." She fought up the stairs, banging on the door until it burst open. She spilled out into the hall, gasping, drenched in something thicker than water. The students were gone. The elevator stood open, waiting. Inside, a new carving, H. Quinn, 3 days. She rode up without pressing a button. When the doors opened onto the snow light of the entrance hall, she could see the world outside, bright, clean, normal. She stepped out the front doors. The cold air hit her face. But in the glass reflection she wasn't alone. The building loomed behind her, its windows now faintly glowing red. In the top one, room 13B pulsed like a heartbeat. She turned away. Snow fell again. From the distance came the faint sound of children chanting the day's lesson. Rule 9. Never look back. Harper didn't sleep that night. Every time her eyes shut she saw the school breathing, brick expanding and contracting like a lung. She told herself not to go back. She packed her bag anyway. By dawn she'd convinced herself she just needed proof. Photos.
None of it will matter.
Audio. Anything that said she hadn't imagined it. Then she'd send it to every newsroom that still remembered her name and finally be believed again. The road to Evergreen was buried under fog thick as milk. No tire tracks, no plow lines. Yet her car somehow found the same route, like it had memorized the way. The gate stood open, the sagging sign now rewritten in frost, Evergreen staff entrance only. When she stepped out, the air didn't smell like snow anymore. It smelled like old paper and disinfectant, the same as inside the classroom. The front doors were already unlocked. Inside, the lights were dim. Her boots echoed down the corridor, sound stretching too long. She turned a corner and froze. The hallway floor was gone, replaced by black water-reflecting ceiling lamps that weren't there. Each ripple showed another version of herself, one teaching, one screaming, one staring into the closet. She forced her gaze forward, not down. The elevator waited at the end, doors open like a mouth. The descent was slower this time. Her reflection in the brass door blinked a heartbeat late. Words began to carve themselves across the metal as the cage dropped. Lesson 4: Obedience. The doors opened to a silence so heavy it felt alive. 13B was lit only by the cracked wall clock, its glow steady and unnatural. The desks had returned, but they weren't empty. Each seat held a mannequin wearing a student's uniform, waxy skin gleaming, mouths stitched shut with red thread. Their heads turned toward her in unison. Harper's pulse thundered. "Where are the children?" A voice answered from behind her. "They're in class." Dr. Morrow stepped out of the shadow, holding the manila folder like scripture. "You've done well. The farm is pleased." Harper backed away. "I'm not part of this." Morrow smiled faintly. "You already are. Every rule you followed fed it. Every second you stared at the clock gave it focus. It's been using you to rewrite itself." Rewrite. The school is an organism built from memory. Each substitute becomes a teacher. Each teacher becomes a foundation. You're the newest floor. The mannequins began to hum, a low droning tone that vibrated in Harper's teeth. Morrow's eyes clouded white. Rule 9 was never a warning. It was an invitation. Harper bolted. The elevator was gone, replaced by stairs leading downward. The hum followed, joined by whispering voices that spoke in perfect imitation of hers. "We could have been great again. You wanted the story. Now you're inside it." She stumbled into the basement tunnels. Old signage marked the walls, Sanatorium Ward C, 1908. Rusted wheelchairs lay half submerged in water. At the tunnel's end, a steel door stood slightly open, light pulsing from within. She pushed through. The chamber beyond looked like a cathedral made of bone and desks welded together. At its center, a massive shape pulsed beneath translucent skin, veins of cable and pipe running into it from every direction. Inside the folds, she could see faint silhouettes of people moving, mouths opening and closing in silent lecture. On a nearby desk sat a projector. It flickered to life by itself, casting images on the far wall. Delgado, standing in this same room. Then another substitute before him. Then another, Harper herself, entering moments ago, looped infinitely. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. Unknown number again. She answered without meaning to. A child's voice whispered, "Attendance complete. Begin assimilation." The floor rippled under her feet. Threads of red light crawled up her boots, snaking toward her hands. "No." She tore free and stumbled back. "I'm not your teacher." The voice in the phone changed, now her own, distorted. "Of course you are, Ms. Quinn." Class dismissed. The chamber roared. She ran. The hallway shifted as she moved, doors blinking in and out of existence, stairwells reversing direction. She burst into a corridor lined with glass cases. Inside each, another Harper froze mid-motion, one holding a camera, one screaming, one with her back turned. Each figure's reflection whispered as she passed. When she reached the foyer, dawn light streamed through the main doors again. She could see the outside world, snow, sky, freedom. She sprinted. Halfway there, a voice stopped her cold. Rule 9, Ms. Quinn. Morrow stood by the doors, smiling softly. Never look back. Harper hesitated. Behind her, the sound of footsteps, the children, returning. The air pulsed with their chant. Rule 9. Rule 9. Rule 9. She turned anyway. The world folded inward. The hallway stretched to infinity. Every door opened at once, spilling red light. Figures stepped out, every substitute that had ever taught there, faces pale, eyes milky. They reached for her, mouth sewn but still whispering her name. Harper screamed and looked away, but too late. The light swallowed her. When silence returned, the building stilled. Snow fell outside, gentle and clean. Dr. Morrow adjusted her cuffs and walked to the front office. A new nameplate waited on the desk, Ms. Quinn, permanent substitute. She placed it carefully, aligning it with the others. Then she opened a drawer marked next and pulled out a fresh manila folder. The paper inside was still blank. Outside, an engine approached, the next sub's car climbing the snowy road. The clock on the wall struck 6:45 a.m. And down in the dark, room 13B exhaled. The road to Evergreen was silent under the first clear sky in weeks. Sunlight glanced off the snow, blinding in patches. The driver squinted through the glare, following the GPS voice that guided her up the hill. Her name was Emily Vance, 27, freshly certified substitute, drowning in student loan debt and optimism. The listing had come through overnight, immediate vacancy, short-term position, cash advance provided. She needed it. When the school came into view, she almost laughed. It looked like a postcard from another century. Grey stone, ivy, the faint ring of a bell somewhere deep inside. Picturesque, if a little tired. A woman waited by the entrance. Thin, tall, face smooth as porcelain. Black turtleneck, black gloves. Welcome to Evergreen, she said. I'm Dr. Morrow. Emily shook her hand. Thank you for seeing me on such short notice. Morrow's grip was cool. We appreciate initiative. Not many replacements make it through the winter. She handed over a manila folder. Across the front, confidential, substitute only. There are 9 rules, Morrow said. Follow them, and your time here will be perfectly uneventful. Emily laughed lightly. 9 rules? Sounds like summer camp stuff. Morrow smiled without showing teeth. Exactly. The elevator rattled her down to the basement. The light flickered once, twice, and steadied. A faint smell of disinfectant filled the air. When the doors opened, she stepped into the corridor marked 13B. The floor was dry, the paint fresh. Someone had even placed a potted fern outside the classroom. Inside, the room looked normal, if a bit old-fashioned. 13 desks, neat rows, sunlight filtering through high windows. At the teacher's desk sat a woman already waiting, hair tied tight, eyes distant. Oh, Emily said. You must be the previous sub. The woman smiled politely. Just finishing orientation. Her nameplate read Ms. Quinn. Emily noticed the odd color of her irises, gray, almost milky, and the faint scent of damp paper around her. Any advice before I start? Emily asked. Quinn handed her a yellow folder identical to her own. Yes, she said softly. Follow the rules. Emily laughed. Sure. Anything specific I should watch out for? Quinn's smile widened. Too slow. Rule 9. Before Emily could ask, the bell rang. When she looked back, the desk across the room was empty. Students filtered in, quiet and polite. They seated themselves 2 apart without being told. Emily felt an odd déjà vu. She'd seen this layout somewhere online, maybe a photo in an old teaching blog. She began attendance. Names strange and old-fashioned, Lila, Ezra, Nora. Every present came perfectly in sync, like a choir responding to a conductor. At 9 a.m., a drop fell from the ceiling onto her notebook. The paper smoked where it hit. She frowned. Pipe leak? Lila raised her hand. Ignore it, miss. It's not water. The class giggled softly. Emily forced a smile. Okay, comedians. She dabbed the spot with a tissue. The burn mark formed a number 9. Lunchtime. She ventured upstairs for coffee. The staff lounge was empty, chairs turned toward the window. On the table lay a half-finished crossword and a mug still steaming. Something moved in the reflection, the faint silhouette of a woman standing behind her. When she turned, no one there. Only a small origami crane resting by the sugar bowl. Inside, a single hair curled, brown, frayed at the tip. Her hair. Afternoon class is blurred. The clock above the blackboard ticked unevenly. Between 2:11 and 2:13, the second hand froze. The student stared forward, unblinking. Emily looked away, heartbeat pounding. A whisper brushed her ear, "Don't listen." She pressed her hands to her head until the bell released her. At 3:15, she packed up to leave. The intercom crackled, "Miss Vance, please report to the office." Her skin prickled. "Hello?" "Miss Vance," the voice repeated, her own voice, distorted. She ran to the elevator, jabbing the button. The doors opened at once. Inside, etched faintly on the wall, she saw names stacked in columns. D. Delgado, 11 days. H. Quinn, permanent. Beneath them, a new line already forming itself letter by letter, Evans, 1. Her breath caught. She pressed the button for the main floor. The cage began to rise. Halfway up, the light died. A whisper came through the speaker. "Welcome to staff, Emily." She screamed, pounding the door. When the light returned, she was no longer moving. The display read B13. Back in the principal's office, Morrow stood before the filing wall. She slid open a drawer labeled personnel and placed a fresh nameplate inside. Then she opened another drawer, one marked archive. Inside lay rows of wax-sealed origami cranes, each pulsing faintly with red light. She added one more. The wax hissed as it touched the metal. "Continuity maintained," she whispered. She glanced toward the office window, where the snow had started again. Far below, room 13B glowed faintly through the basement glass. A new figure sat at the teacher's desk, motionless, head tilted just a little too far. The bell rang once. And somewhere in the dark, a child's voice whispered the lesson. Rule 9. Never look back.